for being here, and thanks for to International Air, to Andy and Dan for organizing the Peace Hack and to build peace for accepting the challenge of this project as part of the Fellows Program. My name is Diana. I'm from Colombia. I have worked in peace building for quite a while, particularly in Colombia peace building process, with the past year peace process with the paramilitary group, and I was part of the government negotiating group in one of the different points that we're negotiating in the peace agreement that was announced a couple of weeks ago. After participating there and meeting quite a few people, particularly from the Build Peace program, and working in an organization called Purpose, I started to realize that technology was key for some of the challenges that Colombia is facing right now for the implementation of the peace agreements. And that's what the invitation that I want to do to you today, to join Colombia surpassing these challenges through one particular challenge that I want to propose you, that is in the peace agreements that were recently launched. So, as you may all know, on August 24, there was finally a peace agreement between the Colombian government and the oldest guerrilla in the Western Hemisphere, which is called FARC guerrilla. It's a communist guerrilla. And there are a broad range of agreements for both guaranteeing victims' rights, but also to creating a more buoyant democracy and participatory framework in order to not repeat the causes of the conflict. And in particular, due to that, citizen participation is actually at the core of the implementation of the agreements. Usually, peace agreements are understood as something done to demobilize combatants and to guarantee victims' rights. But here, there are many participatory mechanisms to allow citizens to come together to collectively dream what they want for their country, and that way guaranteeing that the conflict does not repeat again. Then this is a unique opportunity to create a stronger democracy in Colombia, and not only in Colombia, but also maybe to also provide new solutions to other countries that might be facing the same experiences. And however, this is quite a challenge because it requires to foster trust and empathy in a country where for decades there is no empathy or trust, both on the side of the institutions and in the side of the citizens. So building peace and participation in this context requires, on one hand, to build confidence in governmental institutions, and on the other hand, to foster trust within the society. And what we want to propose you as a challenge is actually to help us build a tool to foster that empathy in a participatory mechanism that is in the agreements. And this mechanism is called participatory budgeting, which is it sounds quite technical, so don't be bored about the word. It basically means that citizens can come together to directly decide how they want to spend part of the budget of their locality. So, as you may know, how decisions are taken, usually budget decisions at the local level, is that the people that are in power, that have power, are the ones that decide how the budget is spent. However, participatory budgeting is quite an interesting mechanism to bring people in the decisions of planning of the locality, because they allow citizens to decide what their priorities for that territory are and to vote for them. So it's a way to foster the trust that is needed both within the society but also with the institutions. However, when citizens jump into this process after so many decades of not having trust within each other and empathy, there's not an easy way to engage them and make them excited about the whole process. And that's the invitation that we want you to take today, to help us make citizens excited about participation, and to help us build a tool that allows the collective dreaming that this new era for Colombia requires. In particular, I'm going to tell you a little bit about participatory budgeting, so you can know a little more about the tool. Then, what we're envisioning for the tech tool of participatory budgeting in Colombia, and some key functions. So, to give you a little bit background on that, participatory budgeting is not a novel mechanism for Colombia. It started in Brazil in the late 80s, and actually has now spread in more than 1,700 cities worldwide. Because this is a powerful mechanism to make citizens part of the decision-making of cities. Likewise, today, it's also spread throughout all the different continents, and even though it started in Brazil, it has started to emerge to Europe. And it's moved from the global south to the north, to the global north. There's a quite interesting emergence of technical tools to allow participatory budgeting. So today, as you can see in this map, there are many different places worldwide that uses tech tools to allow participatory budgeting processes. And these tech tools are quite different. There are some tools, for instance, one called Participare, that allows to have all the process that goes online through an online web page. So citizens can get together, put their ideas about what they want for their locality, like I want a new park, or I want a new school, or I want more health places, and to deliberate, to dialogue and talk within each other, both for the decisions that they think are the most appropriate to prioritize the resources, and to then follow up what happens with those decisions. There's D21, which is a very interesting application that allows to track consensus on the voting. Empatia, which is also a platform that allows to do the whole process, or there are games that are being done to engage citizens. So there's one called the Big Easy Budget game that makes participants to role play that they are the mayor for a day. However, and this relates to a question that was being asked before, although there are many applications currently for participatory budgeting that are out there. There are applications for engagement, for data gathering, for information, for deliberation. There's not a particular application yet that particularly fosters peacebuilding. And this is what we want to create throughout the project, and this is the invitation that we want to make you through the Peace Hub. How could we particularly target building peace throughout this participatory mechanism through a tech tool? And for doing so, we partner with the Office of the Mayor in Medellin, which is the second largest city of Colombia. You probably know it, sadly, due to the series Narcos. That it's the place where Pablo Escobar was born. But it's an amazing city because about 2 decades ago, it was the most violent city of Latin America, and right now it's portrayed as the Silicon Valley of Latin America. So it's a very resilient city, but there are still some places where our groups are having some operations, and it has rural or urban areas. So it is a territory that looks in some places very similar to the rural areas where the conflict in Colombia is happening. So that's why we chose that city. And we're going to pilot the tech tool that is going to be built in 2 localities of Medellin. They are called comunas. And the idea is to pilot the tech tool there, so afterwards, when we have a working product, we could scale it up in other municipalities of Colombia. And basically, the way that we have decided to design the tool is to work with the community in a participatory way. So in the last months, we have engaged both with the Office of the Mayor, with citizens, with many stakeholders and people that work there to learn about their experiences and what they think that could be most appropriate in terms of peace building, because peace building could mean lots of different things. So we engage in workshops with the community. We went to the territories to see what are the most pervasive problems that they face. So for instance, these are the buildings of some houses. You can see that they are very poor constructed and there are many challenges that they face in terms of planning. We learn about some projects that are currently being financed by participatory budgeting. So here you can see a child with a t-shirt that says participatory budgeting in the back because his football team was financed through participatory budgeting resources. We observed voting processes in Medellin for participation. And after doing all this research, what we find out is that the most appropriate tool right now, due to the digital divide and the circumstances, is to build a two-fold application that has a hybrid web-based system and that involves a collaborative game that makes people excited about the whole process of participation. And this is the invitation that we want you to help us make, to help us design either the web page, the hybrid web page, where the game will be based, or the game itself. So let me tell you a little bit about the functionality. On one hand, let me tell you about the hybrid web-based page. The functions that it should have is, first, a start page, where there will be, and you can see these on the briefs that you have on the table, some information about the process, and then people can register, so we can have their data. And then there's the collaborative game, and there's the possibility to access to the different phases of the participatory budgeting process. I'm not going to go that much into detail now, but if you want, we can go further into the questions. You have all the information in the briefs. And on the other hand, for the game is intended to be played in public spaces, and also in laptops and in tablets of the people, but primarily in public places where people can have access in an open way. So this is why what we're thinking of is a 3 to 5 minutes game that people can play, for instance, in public transportation, that is collaborative, that allows to earn points or to win through collaborative work, that allows idea collection about how they dream their territory in a way that allows coexistence and peace, that foster deliberation, like people talking to each other, that allows them to dream about the spending of the resources and the planning, and that is engaging and fun. We know that at this stage, the engaging and fun part might not be there yet, but it's an invitation. If you have a cool idea for it to be fun, then please jump in. If not, but you can find something about the idea collection, maybe we can build together something that has all these different features. And let me tell you a little bit more about how this application will be run. After it's a working application, after the pilot process, because we're going to pilot this in workshops with the communities, the ideal will be to have the tech tool running in tablets in public transportation. So this is a picture of a neighborhood called Olaya in Medellin, which is a very poor neighborhood. As you can see, there are many houses in all the mountain without roads. They have very poor conditions. They don't have the basic service, and the only way to access there is through something called Metrocable, which is an aerial cable that goes there. And what we have thought in terms of access is that if people could have a tablet in the Metrocable where they could play while they commute to work, then that will be a way for them to get informed about the process, have transparency about the spending of their resources, and be engaged in order to participate further in the whole planning process. There are other ways for them to access. So, for instance, there's a picture there of a place called Telecentro, which is basically a place where a public place to access computers and internet in different places of Medellin. After we have a working tool in Medellin, then we can start thinking in the strategy about the access of other places of Colombia. So let me just tell you about some games for inspiration, in case you're thinking, okay, let me see how this could work. There's a collaborative game called Pandemic, which fosters cooperation of the participants in order to tackle diseases, the spread of diseases in the world. There's another, you might all know The Sims. So we're thinking about a combination between The Sims, like the planning element, with a little bit of resource spending, and then like Pandemic in terms of there's a cooperation there in terms of planning. Another game for inspiration is called Hands-on Famagusta, which is a game in Famagusta, in the city of Famagusta, to allow cooperation between opposing sides of the conflict in order to dream their dream, Famagusta. Another game that might be interest is the Big Easy Budget game, the one I was telling you about. It was played in New Orleans, and the mayor's office went with tablets to supermarkets and to malls, so people could act as if they were the mayors for a day and learn about the budgeting process. Another similar game is called At Stake, and there it's a card game, and it's a role-playing game, so people could feel that they role-play that they are another person, and that then foster empathy about other people in their community. So with this in mind, we want to invite you to help Colombians build that dream a stronger and buoyant democracy through games and through technology and through the hackathon. Thank you very much.